You did?
Yeah,
That's right?
back in the day. Kathy's place.
Adam McClure sounds very familiar.
I
I
was
didn't
there-
know
I
about
was-
there when you did.
I wasn't there for long. I was there in 2020, like the
Sure.
summer after
Yeah,
COVID hit.
gotcha, yeah.
I was in high school, so
Gotcha, yeah,
I,
yeah. You worked with Brandon?
yeah, I did. I worked with, I don't know if you remember Dave Kowski.
Yeah.
I worked with Dave and then Joe B.
Oh, yeah. Joe B.
Is he still around?
Joe B? Come on. He's still alive. I'm just kidding. He's fine.
And then, Dante.
Yeah, yeah,
He still works
yeah.
there, right?
He used to just stop for a little bit, but he's back now.
Brandon's still in there?
On the dot.
Wait, mic's on?
Rick's still in?
That on, Chuck?
The white one,
Is it? Okay.
right here.
Welcome to the October 24th, 2024 Ware Planning Board meeting. I'm the vice chairman, filling in for the chairman tonight, who couldn't make it. First on the agenda,
To appoint.
I'm going to appoint Ray as a voting member to replace Craig. First on the agenda is a site plan review for Turncycle Solutions at 64 Brown Hill Road. I did some septic design for that site, and I've done some other work for them, so I have to step down for this item, but I'll be back. Pastor Bill will fill in for me.
So we're considering a site plan review for Turncycle Solutions, AW Holdings, DBA Benchmark Human Services, at 64 Brown Ridge Road, tax map 408-151. I have a copy of the plan, overview plan in the larger format for you. Let's do that. And we have received have received an application, and the application is specifically to take the present residence, 3,589 square foot home with a two-car garage and attached, and a shed, and to change the layout of the steps, adding fire alarm and sprinkler system fencing, and extending the driveway pertaining to using this facility for individuals with developmental disabilities. We're making a note that the application has been used a wrong document for a conceptual meeting, which was already done back in the spring, I think. And so we need to change that to a site plan review, which is what we're about tonight, just as an FYI on that. To my knowledge, there are no waivers requested. And unless you, I believe it's complete, but you need to, do you have, this is what we were sent a copy of. It's just the beginning portion.
No, I don't like that.
Just this section. It's repetitive in what we got mailed to us.
All right.
All right, and so given, having reviewed the email of this, the only question I had, out of ignorance, is, there were no abutters notified.
Yes, there are butters here tonight, yes, and they were notified.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
so that's
They weren't listed though.
on the back page here.
Oh, I never got that.
That was part of that email document. If you kept scrolling down, it's like it's two sets of paperwork. It was following
Right, it had
after,
the list, but
after letter of affidavit
Right. You know, it had the list of abutters, but it didn't, in the list where it said, I have notified these people,
Yes.
that was blank.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that those,
Which-
the people on that list had been notified.
After the fact.
After the fact, in what sense?
Like that it's already happened and we were just notified of this process now, but we weren't notified that the facility was going in there beforehand.
Okay. We'll address that in public comment in a moment. So, other than that, any issues that you saw when, as far as the application being complete?
So I have a question on page 26, where it gives the tax map and lot. Total acres, 2.05 acres, in current use, 2.05. I thought you had to have like 11 acres to put it in current use.
No, I think that's just a
Yeah, could be.
I interpreted that as,
Yeah.
oh, how many are you currently using?
Right.
Not understanding,
Not-
understanding what
Yeah,
current use
but
is.
current use is a specific term.
Sure.
Easy
correct.
mistake to make if you're not familiar with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
language, yeah.
It's not a big deal as long as,
Yeah, I think we're understanding of that.
okay.
What's the name of the gentleman that signed this?
Robert Benoit.
Benoit, okay. All right. Okay. So, any questions further questions on the application?
No.
Okay. And there's no waivers, so do we have a motion to accept the application as complete?
Also move.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on. Presentation.
So you guys all have the paperwork, obviously, what Bruce provided, photos and site plan as well. So basically, the plan is to keep the residence the way it is. And we'll be a 5-bedroom. It'll be a 5-bedroom home used for handicapped residents to to have a place to live realistically.
So has there any work been started at all?
Yeah, we got our building permit. The building permit was already issued well before this. So we've already started some demo work. Yeah, on the inside only.
Okay.
You know, explain the site plan to them.
If you don't mind.
Hi, Bruce Belmore. I prepared the site plan, did the septic design for him. The septic system, we got that approval yesterday for the expanded use. There's, like Andy said, there's 5 beds in there, so there's 5 residents, and there's 7 employees, 24 hours a day. So essentially, each resident has a dedicated staff member, and then there's 2 additional staff members for cooking and cleaning, and whatever else needs to be done. So the parking, I've got 10 employee parking spaces, 3 for the 7 people that are working there, and, I'm sorry, 7 for the 7 people working there, and 3 would be when they do a shift change, they're gonna be cars coming in and out, so they're gonna need a couple extra spaces, so there's 13 spaces there for that, plus there's 2 visitor spaces. And it's, from my understanding, 7 people, 2 12-hour shifts,
Well, it would be 3 8-hour shifts.
3 8-hour shifts. So there's, the layout of the house is kind of unique. There was a master bedroom suite kind of thing up over the garage. So there's 5 pretty good sized bedrooms in it. There's a 3rd floor in it with a couple extra bedrooms up there.
Correct. Yeah, that's not gonna be, those aren't bedrooms, it's just gonna be
Office
common.
space, yeah. They're in the midst of putting a sprinkler system in it. And making some structural changes inside to accommodate everything that needs to be done. This, parking out there needs to be elevated, so that's why those retaining walls are shown there. They're 4 feet tall each, so it doesn't require any kind of engineer review because they're only 4 feet tall. And there's a dumpster location showing out there in the crook of the parking lot. The gas tanks are there, the wells shown on there. There's a bunch of exterior lights on the front of the house. You can see them in the photos I gave you. You can actually see the light fixtures on there. The only light fixture I put on there that's not there is off the gable end of the garage so that the employees can see in the parking lot at night when they go and get their cars.
Have you thought about where you're putting snow?
There's plenty of room to just push it off the end of the parking area. Those retaining walls aren't gonna be above the parking, they're gonna be down below. Yeah. You just throw it, push it right over that first retaining wall and let it drop down to that little terrace area.
Will the new lighting impact anybody, Bruce?
This abutter to the south is pretty far away, and they don't need to take down a single tree to do any of this, except for the couple where the septic system is. There's 2 maples and an apple tree that needs to come down for that retaining wall, but the apple trees aren't that big, they're not a buffer at all.
That's this tree, and this tree.
So essentially, what's there for vegetation is what's gonna stay.
And if it makes a difference, you don't have to put this here, we can just put a light here facing back towards the house and
Yeah,
there's
put
no
it
light going anywhere.
by the dumpster on a pole facing towards the house, yeah.
If I recall, this property dips in like this, right?
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, and the driveway, kind of an awkward little cul-de-sac at the end of Brown Ridge Road. It's not round, it's more oval shaped.
Oblong.
So the cars can drive around the cul-de-sac, so they can just drive right down the driveway. If you got a small car, you can make that turn, no problem, but something a little larger, you wanna drive around and come in the other way, the way the driveway's angled off the road. They're not doing any structural changes outside at all. They don't have to touch a piece of siding.
Is this the last house on the road?
No, there's,
Second to last on the right.
Second to last, on the right.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah, there's one right off the end on the cul-de-sac. You put all the setbacks on there, side setbacks, front setback. Contours for the whole lot, there's no wetlands on the lot. All the utilities are shown, there's a shed there down by the septic system that's gonna remain.
Is that where the present leach field is?
At present leach field is, it's a square, it's like underneath the dumpster. You see there's a square line across there? The parking lot's going over the present leach field. And there's a brick walkway that goes down there that will be taken out in the process too.
Okay. Could you expand a little bit on, when you mention individuals with developmental disabilities, what is the range for that?
It's a broad range, individuals who receive waivered services. Good evening. We support individuals who receive waivered services, residential services, either under acquired brain injury or developmental disability waiver. So it's a pretty broad range.
Okay. And do you have those individuals already identified as future residents, or that's still in process?
It's still in process, but we have some identified, between this and some other homes.
Okay. And could you expand on, I guess, presence within the neighborhood? In the sense, okay, so I have in my mind the Easter Seals facility on Nichols Road. And they've got two houses basically conjoined with a garage. And the residents, I plow that driveway, so they're, other than coming out to say hi to me, I don't see them. And so that situation's a little different than here. There's more people around as far as other residents, et cetera. Just wondering what the neighbors could expect as far as,
Just like any other neighbor, we happen to support people who live in this community with developmental disabilities. But just like any other neighbor, they might access the community. They might be, it really depends on the individual and what they have going on that day.
okay,
But we're just providing services for people in the community like anyone else who lives in the community.
okay. Do we have any additional questions for them?
I don't.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything additional to say?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Public comment, open up for public comment. Questions? Yeah. If you have a question, please, and state your name, what your address is, that way we can have a perspective of where you are in the neighborhood.
I'm Michael, it's my wife Christina Boccaccios. We live actually
Right next door.
right next
We're
door.
butters.
Past the property or before the property?
Before, we're the fourth house on the right. We just have a few questions on like, we weren't notified on this facility going in, and what is that gonna do to our property
Property
value
values.
if you decide to sell? Never had a facility like this before in a residential area.
Yeah.
We walk our dogs, everybody on Martin and ours walk dogs around the cul-de-sac and everything like that, night and day. We just wanna know, what are we gonna look for, like, when people are outside?
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot more cars going in and out. So,
And also we heard that there was a fence going up, like,
yeah.
what does that look
Is
like?
that gonna be around the property, or a fence is not going in?
That's a good question. Where's that piece of paper? Yeah, there is fencing identified on the application, but do we have,
Yeah, it's just the back perimeter, all around the tree line, just the back perimeter, from the back right corner, back around the left.
so it's behind the building as opposed to in front of the building?
Back there.
So it sounds like it'd be a safer place for them to be doing recreation or
Right.
whatever,
Oh, that's
as
good.
opposed to wandering the neighborhood. I don't think you need to be worried about people wandering the neighborhood.
Oh, no,
But
I'm just,
I
you know.
would say also that you will expect the residents to engage with you,
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
just like any other neighbor.
Yeah, everybody needs help
Depending
and
upon
chance
their
and
skill
everything,
level,
but,
they're gonna wanna pet your dog, or neighbor's dogs, or everybody's dog.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just,
So I think it comes down to, not to say I can't speak for them, but my practical experience with the Easter Seals facility, They're very congenial, very outgoing. Will come rushing out to say hi, to make sure you know they're there. And if that's their ability as far as ambulatory is concerned, they might do that. But given the fact that this house is down in like a secluded hollow,
Yeah, we
unless
are
they're out in the
too.
driveway.
We're actually
they're
worse
not-
than their house, so.
Okay.
We know about the
So
snow
we're
and the
above
rain,
them.
but
Yeah,
On that.
we see everything, so, because where our house is, we sit higher than them.
you know, again, I'll say this as I tell anybody moving into a new neighborhood,
Yeah,
make friends.
yep.
So we don't know how all this works, but why weren't we notified before this even happened? We feel like the whole neighborhood feels like we were like an afterthought. We get the
Well-
letter just saying that they wanna do the fence and the driveway and all that.
And we didn't even know this facility was
Was
going in. We
happening.
just talked to a
One of
worker.
the workers told me,
Yeah, when she was walking the dog.
I'm not sure about why that happened that way. They did come to us for a conceptual back in the spring, and there's nothing within our zoning that prohibits such a facility going in. As to where and how that didn't get communicated to you, I don't have an answer for you,
Okay.
other than this is the answer. It seems a little, like you said, late in that respect, as far as this site plan should have been approved before even a building permit issued, in my mind. But I'm not the expert on that process per se. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
okay.
There's no prohibition statewide, even on state regulations for this facility to go in, that I'm aware of, because we did that homework, or they did that homework for us and presented that, and that zoning is
Okay.
not prohibited in a residential area. Given the fact that you are having people with brain injuries or disabilities moving in, they're not housing criminals. They're not
That was a
housing
big
That
question.
was-
people
a
who
huge
are-
question we were
that
gonna
bring harm
ask.
to you, because that's not within the scope of what they're doing, to my knowledge,
Well, that's good.
so.
Anything else? No? All right.
You good? Thank you.
So just as one last caveat, nobody's trying to hoodwink you.
Oh, that's, at least we know that,
Yeah.
so,
There's
thank
no-
you.
There's no desire for that.
We didn't think that, we just,
No, it's just,
we
we just
were
wanted.
blind with everything.
Yeah.
We have no idea. We just get a letter
Yeah.
saying, oh, there all this work's going on, and then we get a letter.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
that was happening, so we just need to know
Okay.
what's going on.
thank you.
Thank you.
Just to add a little bit to what Pastor Bill said about what they brought to us to say, hey, the state actually preempts local zoning ordinances from prohibiting facilities like this, and that is RSA 171-A, Section 1, for anybody who's curious.
Okay.
171-A, Section 1.
Well, you know, in reading the regulations that you're referring to, it doesn't appear to me they even had to come to the planning board. They're good to go.
That's what
No matter what we think or say.
Yeah.
So,
My man.
okay.
But there is a sense of transparency to come before us with those changes that will help us build better relationship with you, because, and your neighbors, as opposed to just going and do it without communicating well. And not to say we communicated well in this situation, but we're trying to fix that, if we want to call this fixing it. But following the protocols are helpful, especially because you're changing the amount of people that are living in this facility and upgrading the septic. It's not a traditional residential home. It's a home, but it's not what we would consider, single-family home, so. Okay, any other comments from public? Concerns, questions? Thank you. I'll close public comment at this time. Any further questions from the board?
Does this require any action on our part?
Yes, because it's an official site plan review.
Okay.
If they, yes. Any other questions? A motion to approve this site plan review for 64 Brown Ridge Road, tax map 408-151.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, you're approved. Thank you.
Oh, awesome, thank you very much, I appreciate it. Thank you much.
I don't know if he wants to put this in,
I don't need it.
yeah, I don't know if he wants to put a copy all out in here.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a subdivision for EPH Estates LLC at 402 Old Francistown Road, map 411, lot 319 in the RA zone. Going to subdivide the lot into, I think,
Two lots.
there's two lots, I guess. One 5.78 acre lot and the remainder of 18 acres. I'm looking at the application. Well, it's a minor subdivision. Looks like the abutters have been notified. Doesn't look like they're asking for any waivers. The application appears complete. Any discussion about that?
Just question on 5115 pending.
51,
Page 51. and
Page
it's
51.
oh, okay, pending?
On the checklist, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're pending based on what we do, whether, how we approve it, if we,
Okay.
they can't do final drafts of deeds and easements until essentially we've approved the plan, then we can just require those as part of the condition prior to recording the plan. Somebody want to make a motion?
Move we accept the application as complete.
All in favor?
Who seconded?
Oh, sorry.
Second.
Second by Ray. Jumping the gun here. Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Passed unanimously. Somebody want to present the plan?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kevin McClure with Meridian Land Services. I represent the applicant, EPH Estates. We're, as you said, proposing a two-lot subdivision. I have the new lot line marked out in pink on the easel up here. The proposed new lot's gonna be 5.78 acres with an 18-acre remainder. This new lot has adequate frontage and area complying with all the town requirements for that zone. And we've also had our engineering department look at the proposed driveway that we show on the plan. And that provides adequate site distance and also has enough space to stay out of the wetland buffer associated with that little wetland pocket down by the road. So enough space for a driveway there. Rest of the project is pretty simple. I'm here to answer any further questions that the board has at this time.
I had a question. There's a termination of restriction order in here. I didn't have a chance to look up the prior recorded plan. Evidently, there was a restriction on the deed that this couldn't be further subdivided?
That is correct. So previously, there was a restriction on this lot that it couldn't be further subdivided. And this subdivision was actually brought before the board last year under a different applicant. And the answer as to whether or not that restriction was still in place was unclear. But since then, we've done further research and found this termination of restriction that was recorded with the registry that lifted that restriction. So now it can be subdivided.
Was there a note on that prior plan saying it couldn't be further subdivided?
I have the plan here. I don't believe it was a note on the prior plan, but it was in the deeds that conveyed the
So it was just
lot.
something that the landowner at the time put on the deed.
Yeah, something that it was put in the deed.
Can I take a peek at that plan?
What was that?
Could I take, you said you had the,
Yeah, I have a
Take a
11 by
peek at
17.
So this was, apparently this judgment was made in North Carolina? And looking at the termination of restrictions, I'm looking down in the lower left-hand corner, and the state of North Carolina. I mean, it seems unusual. It is, in fact.
oh, that's what the owner, this Libby Land LLC,
Yeah,
that owned this parcel when they did the original subdivision.
yeah.
When that restriction was put on, she's the one that put it in the deed. And she's the one that terminated it. Susan Libby.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Libby Land LLC, which was the owner of the lot at the time, had a North Carolina address.
Yeah. So it was released by the person that put it in the deed, essentially.
And where do you see that?
Well, it's not, well, you see the Libby Land LLC right here is the owner.
Yeah,
Susan Libby's the one who released it.
yeah, but how,
That wasn't a
how do they
court,
get
that
the
was the person.
authorization to do that? I don't-
If she put it in the deed, she could release it. Anybody that puts anything in the deed, if they're asked at some subsequent point to release it, as long as it's still alive, and there's no other reason why it was put in the deed, it wasn't a condition of subdivision back when this was done, it wasn't because of any restriction, restriction with the land, and as long as nobody has an easement to enforce that, like a conservation easement or something like that, then that person can release the restriction.
Are there other restrictions that could be released that you are aware of?
And if you sold a piece of land and put any kind of restriction at all, saying Joe Smith can walk across there for the next 100 years, then someone buys it and says, well, I don't want Joe Smith walking across there, then you can take it off.
Well,
As long as Joe Smith doesn't have the right to, something is, as long as the person that released it is the same person that put it on.
well, I have a piece of property with an easement is held on it. I'm still alive, I could just say, well, goodbye.
No, somebody paid for that easement, no. If somebody has, but this was not an easement, this is just a restriction on the deed.
Okay.
It's not it's the, some people covenants and deeds, and those covenants can be released by that same person that put them in, if someone comes along and says, I'm not gonna buy it, if they're still there.
Okay, thank you.
So is is whatever's going to be built, being put on the 18 acres or on the 5.78 acres?
Right now, they're just gonna subdivide it, assuming they're gonna sell it as a building lot.
Yeah, but, so I'm confused as to where, you mentioned a driveway.
You print it out on that map for him?
Yeah, I'm old. I
Yeah,
can't
so
see.
it's gonna be a residential building lot. And that'll be going on the 5.78 acre lot, and the proposed driveway is this, bold dashed line with the asterisk on the top of it. That's shown as
So-
the
so the-
driveway location.
Okay, I get it. Sorry, the 5.78 acres is both the top and the bottom. So it's from the north stone, or like,
I saw the same thing you did. This looks
yeah,
like a line.
yeah, I
across.
was thinking
Yeah.
this was the lot here, right? And
Right, and then
I was
how would you ever get
confused.
to that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, both sides of the stone wall.
sorry, I'm just confused.
Please.
That makes more sense.
That buffer. I believe it's 25 feet for lots that were in existence when the ordinance was adopted. But it might be 50 feet for new lots, is it?
I don't know off the top of my head.
What are you showing for a setback? You got a buffer? But there's also a setback on top of that.
What are you looking for, Bruce?
The setbacks from the wetlands. So there's a 50-foot setback on top of the 25-foot buffer for buildings, you show that on here? Is that what that is? Looks like the first line.
Yeah, I believe that is 50 feet. We have one line showing the 25-foot buffer, and then
You gotta alter your line types a little bit, make it easier to read. Your weights.
It's bigger plans.
Hey, here you go.
Huh?
She's got her magnifying glass on.
Yeah.
so we have the 25-foot buffer shown
Yep.
and the 50-foot setback. So the driveway is outside of the buffer, but in the setback, which we weren't aware of any requirements.
No, the driveway can
against
be
driveway
in the
being
setback.
So, but that driveway can be accommodated staying out of the buffer easily.
Right.
Could you also put I'd like you to add a note on there saying that prior to driveway construction, you're gonna need a permit to remove this section of wall where the driveway goes through?
Okay.
So it's going through a stone wall there, there's a stone wall along the whole frontage of that wall. We're gonna have to go to selectmen for that, we have a series of things they have to do for that, but it's not that hard.
What's the number gonna be for this lot? 411-319-2? Or one's that all the way up to the back?
Yeah,
That's not a separate lot?
no, that's what I thought at first too, but that's no wall cut.
Oh, okay, I
across
see
there,
it,
that's
yep.
all, yeah. All the monuments set.
Yes, sir.
You have, you change of directions along the frontage, you have drill holes or something in the stone wall?
We do, yeah. I know this was something that was brought up when this was previously presented too, and since then, I believe this angle point here, and there were a couple back here that previously didn't have drill holes at them, and we set them.
Okay.
As well as, we've already set the monuments for the new line.
Okay. You're gonna need Tom Carr's stamp on here. Oh, there it is. Nope, that's not it. Unless using Spencer as the, I guess it says verified by Spencer.
Yeah.
Certified wetlands. I just, love to see.
Do we have any questions of the applicant?
Pretty
Public
straightforward.
comment? Excuse me. Mark the microphone, sir, state your name, please.
Hi, my name's George Thiel. I'm a butter Deere, Helen Dearborn, Old Francistown.
Okay.
My concern is the obvious. It was defeated previously on the previous owner, and now there's new owners. Did the board address that concern in the previous conversation about who's able to remove the restriction of subdivision?
We just talked about that.
Yeah, so you did address that, okay. I'm concerned that with additional wells and septic, how will that affect my well if the additional load causes problems to myself, my neighbors, the Kennetts, neighbors that are directly abutting on Helen Dearborn?
Well, I can tell you that any new well that's put in, no matter where it is, could affect your well. The way the fractures in our granite work, who knows where they go? I mean, I've seen wells affected 1,000 feet away from a new well was put in, and I've seen wells side by side not affect each other one bit.
Yep.
So that's up to Mother Nature. I mean, there's nothing anybody can do to predict that.
Okay, so it
So, and there's nothing, it's really,
sucks to be me if
Part of-
there's a
part of-
problem.
owning a house with a well on it, that, but I can tell you, if it does present a problem, doesn't mean you have to put in a whole new well. There's other ways you can do it that are less money. You can try fracking your existing well, they can set up and drill a little
Right.
deeper. It doesn't mean drilling a whole new well, which can be pretty costly.
Is it typical, again, please bear with me, this is new to me. Is it possible to request a baseline of the given aquifer? And if something happens, there's a cause and effect, or no,
That's,
it's,
this isn't over an aquifer zone. So, I mean, the water is in our bedrock essentially, it's fed from groundwater. Takes a few years to get there, but
right,
that's where the water comes from, and it's, I mean, it could just, with the way the weather's changing, it could be anything that affects your well, not necessarily his well, it could be,
Drought, whatever.
yeah,
Had
it
some
could happen at the same
drought.
time, so you think it's their well, but it may not be. Like, I say may, because no one can tell you for certain. But we don't, there's no requirement for maintaining a butter's wells when you drill a new well in the state or town.
okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Anybody else? Close the public comment period. Okay, so we're gonna add a note about the stone wall removal. The monuments are in. Yep. Do you have the well on here for the existing house? See a little leach field. symbol here.
don't see it.
Should be.
Is it under the house?
Yeah, the well radius should be shown there. And, you want that on there, the well radius on the existing house?
We can add that.
And do you have the test pit data? For that test pit one?
I don't have it on me, so that's something that we can get to you.
Yep. Because we don't require, obviously, 5-acre lot, no state subdivision approval, so it's in our checklist for having test pit data if we don't have state subdivision approval because of 5-acre lot.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely get that to you. I know, we did a test pit, so
Yeah,
it
I
won't
see
be
that.
hard for me to get my hands on that. Same thing with the existing well.
Yeah, I'm sure you know what it
It's-
is, just get on the plan.
Yeah, we'll just have to show that on the plan.
Anybody else think of anything?
We said we were gonna make it contingent on getting the final deeds and whatnot, that
No,
language.
there is no final deeds. I mean, they don't have to draw any easement deeds or anything at this point. There's no reason for any.
No, but I'm repeating what you said earlier.
No,
that-
if we, during the review process, it was determined that we needed easement deeds for something, like they're doing road widening,
Right, but there will be a new deed for a new lot.
and we'll get that automatically from the registry, once the new owner buys it. We don't
Right.
have to review the deed, because there's nothing we're having to add in there.
The language will be made a part of the application.
Right, and then
And
what we
it's
talked about
future.
was, but it's pending, and what you said was, we
Well-
won't record it until we see that it's final.
Correct.
And that, the reason why it's on that checklist, and I'm not sure why he, probably because they weren't sure. If we said, we need 10 feet of land from you along the.
Right, I understand, and we're at,
That would require a
I
deed.
understand, and we're at the point where we've said we don't need any of that, so now we can say they know everything that they need to know to make that final, so that we can then say, yes, this is good, we will record it, without, getting some screwed up paperwork 20 years from now.
Right.
Yeah. So, make it part of the motion, we're not gonna need the deed, because there's no deed.
No, I disagree.
We don't require, when we ever do a subdivision, we don't require all the lot deeds ahead of time, which is essentially what you're asking for. That's not a requirement.
Okay, but that's what you said earlier.
What I said earlier was about easement deeds, not to the next owner.
You said we would
Not a
get
deed to
you
next
said we
owner.
would get the final language before recording it.
A deed to the next owner, we don't, I'm not saying we don't care about it, but
Well,
an
this will,
attorney will draw it up, and it'll be based on this plan.
Right, I agree that it seems pretty trivial and that we should say, yep, it's
And
good.
And that's, we don't review deeds like that. We never have for anything, for just a owner
But-
A and owner B, we don't review deeds. If it's owner A to the town for something, or to the Conservation Commission for something, then we review the deed.
Well, then why is it in the checklist and why does it say pending and why did we say that we would?
It's in the checklist because in the case that they're putting an easement on it, that.
No, but it says all deeds and easements. So you're talking about the second part, I'm talking about the first
The
part.
first part would be if it was a deed along the road, if they're giving us 10 feet of land for the road, that would be
But
the
it says
deed. That's
all,
not-
it
that's
says
not an
all
easement.
deeds.
The deed to the next owner, we do not get involved with. We're not gonna.
Then that
we're not
language
gonna
should be
require- Because
updated.
if we get a deed, then we're gonna say, okay, our town attorney has to review it. We're not gonna require our town attorney to review every single deed on every single subdivision, whatever lots
I
we get.
disagree, I think we can
We
say,
never
yep,
have.
you,
We never have.
then I think it's been done wrong according to this document.
Then perhaps we should take this up at a work session to change the language that we're using, if that's how
I-
you feel strongly about that.
I take it as final drafts of all deeds will be made a part.
Right, I'm
They're
not,
making a commitment to it, that it will be part of the approval
of
process.
the application. This was the application, we said, hey, we'll receive it even though we don't have the final drafts. And I'm not saying that we need to say that they're perfect, but that they have been done. And say, yep, great, you did your, what looks like due diligence, on we go. And we said, no, we're gonna skip over that. And now we're at the point where they can move forward, understanding that we didn't request any big changes, and they can put final language that we do not need to send to town council, and we say, yep, great, you wrote some deeds, looks final, on we go.
Well, that can be facilitated, I guess, can't it? We,
Yeah, you just keep the language there that says pending, because even though you're chopping off the 5.78 acres, you're still owning it, right? It's not like it's changing hands. So the deed is just gonna be back in their name.
You can't deed
Sure.
yourself something. You
Until
can't write a
then.
deed yourself. You cannot write a deed, you can't write a deed to yourself, you can't write an easement to yourself, you can't say, I'm Joe Smith, I'm writing a deed to Joe Smith. You can't say, I'm Joe Smith, I'm writing an easement to Joe Smith. The registry won't record it, you can't do it.
So who's owning the property then?
When they find,
EPH
when they find
Estates?
a buyer at some point down the road. Right, so the purpose of the planning board in terms of, I'm sorry, Charles Cleary for EPH Estates LLC. And some of you may recall, we came in here briefly and talked about this 9 months ago, whatever it was.
October, a year ago.
Yeah. So splitting the lot in two, under the name EPH Estates, is just their prerogative because they met the town regulations. At the time, if ever they choose to sell this off, a deed will be prepared out of EPH Estates to whoever. Now, there is a plan to deed this out to an affiliate of EPH Estates. But we normally would not do a deed, because it's not time, to the new owner until we're further along in the process. I don't know
So
exactly what the application means. There are times when you need to see a proposed deed. If this was a 56 lot subdivision and you wanted to see the form deed for every single lot, you might ask for that, but in a situation like this could be sold to anybody, or never sold,
Right.
so there wouldn't be a deed. See, this language, final drafts of all deeds and easements that will be made part of the application. That deed they're writing here is not part of the application. Right, we have no transfer right now.
Right.
Says this will include open space deeds, easement cistern deeds.
Yes, this was a clear explanation, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're good.
Sure.
So would it be a conditional motion to accept
Yeah, with the stone wall permit,
the
the
stonewall
changes
permit,
to adding the well radius and well location.
the well, and the test pit data?
Test pit data, yes.
So I'll make a motion to conditionally accept based on,
Acceptally approved,
huh?
conditionally approved.
Conditionally approved, sorry. Conditionally approved based on adding the comment of the needing a permit for the stone wall, the well radius of the existing house, and test pit data.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
point of discussion. On the termination of restriction.
Absolutely. Me too.
Huh?
Keep it up. Yeah, you got it. Don't-
That restriction was put on by, with this board, right?
No, it was put on by a private landowner, it wasn't put on by the board. It's not on the plan, it wasn't on the plan.
Well, it must have been put on when they subdivided out the original piece.
But it wasn't put on that plan, it was put on by the landowner at the time, in the deed. The landowners can, they put a lot of stuff in the deed after they approve the plan.
Oh, yeah? You know what?
Oh, yeah. You give yourself rights to the wood for 50 years, and all kinds of things.
I heard you couldn't deed yourself stuff.
You can't deed yourself stuff, but when you're writing a deed to give it to somebody else, then you can,
Restrictions.
So, and you also can't write yourself easements?
no,
That's good to know.
because while you own the land, you have all the easements to what you
Yeah,
need.
yeah. Because,
But when you transfer it out, then you can put in that deed that you retain an easement.
yeah. Good to know.
Want that?
Yeah. We'll put that in there, because there was nothing in the plan, so, yeah. we can put that in there. Okay. Next on the agenda is, update
No,
to the master.
we have a
plan.
conceptual
Oh,
for Eastman Way.
Hmm?
We have a conceptual for Eastman Way, don't we? It came via email, like, when all this documentation got
I'm
sent
sorry,
out.
should have asked you guys info. Conceptual for Eastman Way.
Yep, hang on one second. Good evening, Brian Kelly. Just a couple quick questions on the 35 acres between Barnard Hill and Eastman Way. I'm aware that these approvals are expired and the lot sizes do not meet the current regulations. Am I correct in saying that?
Correct.
So, I guess the big question is, would I be required to connect Eastman to Barnard Hill? Or would it be allowable to either split the property in half and have just two lots with their own independent driveways? Or could I potentially put some sort of turnaround or hammerhead or shorten the length of that road in any way?
I think we need the fire department to weigh in on that, because we've got massive road lengths limitations in our subdivision requirements that are there for the fire department. And that's why that wood road was done like that, so it wasn't, it cut down, because the problem is, the cul-de-sac up beyond. If that road goes through, then the cul-de-sac up beyond is a lot closer to that exit entrance than that one. So the road length starts from like this intersection
This
down
is
here,
Eastman Way, it stops right there.
Instead
This
of
is off of.
all the way down to Colby
Hill,
Road
I
as it
think.
does now.
Mm.
So
And he
you're
wants
really,
to take this whole
impacting the
35
length of
acre
this road
and
lot.
divide
And
it
there
in
was
half
was
and
there
have a
system
driveway.
there?
I didn't know which one, this is the only plan I've got, I don't have the full set.
I am almost positive there was a cistern on that road too, because of the length from the cistern up at the end of Colby Road.
Okay.
So in that regard, we need to do a little research on that. First, we need to talk, I think you wanna go to the fire department and talk to them.
And that's just concerning the length of road, adding, you know, it'd take them longer to respond to this area by doing it this way versus,
It's longer to pull a hose. We got 2,000-foot length requirements from the cistern.
okay.
And I wasn't part of the planning board when this subdivision got approved. But I do know those are considerations at the time. So I wouldn't wanna say that you could do away with the through road without consulting at least the fire department, and then looking at the entire plan set that was approved before. And I haven't had time to do that. I just found out about this yesterday.
What we're seeing here is that through road, right?
Right.
Yeah, the proposed through road is here, and I'm just, basically just trying to shorten the length of road and then size the lots to
So
give them
rolling
the,
comes up to
5 acre
here.
minimums.
You want to eliminate the through road.
I mean, Eastman Way. And this is
Oh, I don't
the
wanna
whole
eliminate
section
it, I
that's
just
not
wanna
been developed
Well,
yet.
if you want to shorten that, then you want to
So
eliminate it.
from 1911 up.
But, say, you know, there's this option, but the other more simple thing would be, you know, split this in half and just have one 17-acre lot and one, you know, whatever the balance would be off of Barnard Hill. 2 different driveways, no more road, just driveways.
What is that, rural ag?
I'm not
Yeah, it's
sure.
already. Yeah, if we just residential, he wouldn't have to do anything, because his lots would be okay, but it's already.
What's the total acreage?
That's all right.
35? I mean, you could do a cluster, and really have a short road.
Yeah.
Yeah, we eliminate the through road. We gotta have the fire department look at that.
I guess it comes down to what you want to do with the property.
Well, I'm trying to find out what I can do with the property before I go any further. Because I want to have a place to immediately start building a home for my personal residence, but, you know, say, like, directly off into one of the future lots and then potentially, you know, work on these approvals and everything else if it all makes sense, you know. I'm not, I haven't done all the numbers and everything, but just
Now,
spitballing.
why would the fire department be interested if it was a cluster?
Because if he's gonna, the fire department would be interested, they really don't care what it is, as long as that through road, I think, is maintained. And that's where the fire department interest would come in.
It's
If
access.
they were
It's an
eliminating the
access
through road.
issue. It's access.
Access and fire, because of the, I know there's a cistern.
Yeah, but I mean, that could be
It's
developed
access and water. I
Yeah,
with a,
mean, those are the two things.
with a
they need.
shorter road with all the lots. Would probably phase out 7 lots apparently. Okay, well, anyway,
Well, there was 10 originally, and I think you'd only end up with about 6. Probably about the best you're gonna do, and that the land isn't great to begin with, there's several areas of wet,
Right.
2 crossings. So I'd be basically eliminating, you know, 1 road crossing here, it would be, end up being a driveway crossing, for somebody in the future possibly, but, just be the 1 crossing here that would have to go in for a road. But if I'd split the lots and just did 2 lots, then I would eliminate all that and have a house here and a house here, except we still have to do that driveway crossing, but
You really need to talk to the fire department.
that's step 1,
Yeah.
okay.
And then based on their input, then we can make a little better decision.
Sure. Now, when you say cluster, Frank, what specifically are you talking about? Like,
well, they would take the size of the lot, 37 acres,
yeah,
and you have to do a layout to see how many 5-acre lots can you fit in there.
yeah,
It would probably come out at 7 or some 6 maybe.
yeah.
You can't put a road through. Then, you can go in and you can put a couple here, and put your 7 lots in, and the rest of it, open space land.
Oh, I see, so the lots themselves don't actually have to be 5
Oh, no,
acres?
they could be 3/4 of an acre, I guess.
I see what
And
you're
there's
saying.
no side setbacks either, just road setback.
Okay.
And there's no frontage requirements. They can be 30 feet of frontage.
Interesting. So where would I find those regulations? Just on the town website, or?
Yeah.
I'll have to look at
I think many of the surveyors have a pretty good handle on that. You know, they could advise you, but someone, an engineer would have to,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Okay, so, but you did say the fire department wouldn't be concerned if it was just 2 driveways? Or you think they might not be?
I think you need to go talk to fire department before you do anything else, before you make any other assumptions.
Depends on how long those driveways are.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I know there was a cistern up there, and if they're gonna lose that, they're gonna lose that cistern, they might not like any of it. I don't know.
Sure. Now, who would I wanna talk to at the fire
All
department?
right, now, fire chief.
Fire chief? Okay. We'll start with that then, and, maybe I'll see you again. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
too.
Thank you.
So Bruce, when you say there's a cistern out there, that's something the fire department currently uses to go refill their
It
pepper
hasn't been built
tanker?
yet. It's on that proposed road.
That's on the road,
It hasn't been
okay.
built yet.
Okay,
Yeah, 30,000 gallon tank thing. So
Yeah.
The pump from, and that's why
Yeah.
you have to be 2,000, the
know.
nearest wall I came
I
in,
know.
2,000 feet, because they can run a hose 2,000.
I know.
And then sprinkling wouldn't be like an option for that
The
area?
problem is sprinkling with those houses already built, you won't affect them, so, and that was all part of the grand scheme, it was all done as a single cohesive
Yep.
development to begin with. And then that section kind of, when they got to that point, they realized it's gonna be more expensive to build this than it's worth.
Of course, that's why shortening the road is advantageous.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, thank you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we have somebody, can you help you? Did you have something?
I just wanted to see how this ran, and the only question I had is I wanted to get put on an agenda or a question to speak about a violation of a planning board approval.
Violation of the planning board.
Izzy's Ice Cream, they're violating their planning approval by using the road for parking for the business and more cars than allowed in the actual dirt parking lot itself. I've been threatened multiple times, driving through there and with 20, 30 cars parked along South Sugar Hill Road. And I pay taxes for 2-lane road, and half the year it's a 1-lane road.
What I can tell you is the planning board, we are not an enforcement.
Well, I was sent to you guys by select board, because I tried that first.
I know, I know, but we are not an enforcement body. The only, we approve a site plan, and it has to be approved, has to be enforced by a code enforcement or a zoning enforcement officer.
Okay,
We have no authority to enforce anything. We approve or disapprove applications that come before us.
so then what do I do? Because I've been before the select board and they sent me to you guys. So what am I supposed to do?
Code enforcement officer, huh?
Yeah.
Do we have one?
We do not.
We do not. Well, there's a problem.
So then, since I can't be helped, the email from Naomi said I go back to the select board. So I guess,
Although, unless you connect with the present part-time building inspector to say, I have a concern about this
I think
particular.
all he does is building inspections, so I don't think he
Yeah,
does
no.
code enforcement.
so, I mean, they're violating two articles, obviously, of what was approved, and we have zoning ordinance that says they can't use the road too, as business parking. I mean, I really wouldn't care normally, but it becomes a 1-lane road for half the year, and I've been threatened multiple times on that road by customers. I almost witnessed a serious accident because people pull out there, don't even look, and the car in front of me slammed on the brakes. It just setting the property owners, but also the town up for liability, because I've made numerous complaints over the years about the violation of the planning approval. And it's just a ticking time bomb before some kid gets run over or something happens.
We can't, that's out of our hands, that's beyond our,
No, that's why I came down, because I emailed the board again, looking for if they made a decision, and Naomi told me that the decision wasn't their purview, unless nobody could help me. And they told me to go to you guys, and then you guys told me to go to the code enforcement, who we don't have, so that now would tell me I have to go back to the select board because we don't have anybody to enforce anything. I just wanna make sure I have it clear, so I'm like, I'm not,
you got it pretty clear.
you know, that I'm not understanding it, so.
It's a tough situation, not having, it's a tough situation most towns are in, because there's 2 people to fill 15 roles in 5 towns around us.
Oh, no, and
It's
I wish it
tough.
did, I wish it didn't come to this, you know, that's not what I'm looking for. But I'm just trying to look for some help without, the bomb exploding, so to speak, you know. but, so. I guess I just, I emailed the board to get put back on the board session since I've done everything that town manager told me to do.
You could certainly,
Because if
Make
I
that
have no
request.
recourse, I have to go back to you guys technically.
well, that was,
That was her email to me.
that was her email. I'm not, and I think given, if we're gonna keep talking this much, I don't know if we are, but if we are, do you mind staying at the
Oh,
podium?
yeah, so, no. Doesn't bother me. So, I just wanna know what to do, that's all.
Yeah, I can't speak for the board, but I don't know that we've received any new information, so I don't know why we would make a different determination.
Well, if you have
That's
no
my-
purview,
that's
then
my
who-
individual
then who
opinion.
has purview?
It is,
Because if the
The-
town fails to fill the role, then what's my recourse?
right, and what I remember us reviewing, we came to the conclusion that there were no violations, that there was nothing that needed to be addressed. at the
How is there
town
not
level.
violations when the zoning ordinance says they can't use the road for parking for the business?
Again, I'm an individual member right now, I can't
Yeah.
speak for the board, but that is how I recollect it. I don't know that
I
it's,
mean, I mean, yeah, I guess, you know, but if the zoning ordinance says you cannot use the road and their planning board approval says no road parking, I don't, as a individual, see how there's not a violation.
I guess this is not the place for that discussion. I mean, we're not enforcement.
No, I see what you're saying, but I was told to come here, so.
Selectmen, then you need to go see the selectmen.
again, it was, what, a month or so ago, a couple
Yep.
months ago. So, from what I remember, could be faulty, I don't remember seeing, the zoning ordinance saying that was not allowed, did not apply, and that it applied to them. So if,
Okay, it was on the town's website, under ag, which is that area, that you cannot use the road for parking for the business.
so if, I guess, I know one of the other issues in the email was the minutes hadn't been posted. They have been posted at this point.
Okay,
So maybe the best thing to do, again, I'm not speaking
Yeah.
for any board or the town necessarily, it's my opinion. I would go back, look at the minutes. The video should be up. We had issues with a couple of videos, so hopefully it's not that one. It probably is though, if the minutes took that long. And just make sure, if we missed something, if you say, hey, no, I was talking about the zoning ordinance and we never talked about it, then, yeah, bring it right back.
well, I know I brought it up when I talked to you guys, because Janice was the one who told me when they had the thing that, they looked at it and it said, no on-street parking for their planning board approval. So, just that alone, I don't see how the board made the term no violations, because it was written down right in their planning thing.
You'd wanna dig out that particular document though, I mean,
That they did dig it out.
they did.
Yeah, Janice had it at the meeting.
All right.
Because she told me that information, because I didn't know what it was, and when I made the complaint, and then they paraded everybody in there to kind of threaten me, she said, no, it's 7 cars in the lot, no on-street parking, 25-foot setback, because I remember everything she said, and no on-street parking. And then when I went to the rules, the zoning ordinance, it said if you're in an ag zoned area, which that's a farm, it's ag, that you cannot use the road for parking. I mean, I mean, just to say proof of that, because you guys approve plans, I go, you guys must know that regulation. I would think.
I need to cut you off. I mean, you're just getting repetitive, and this is not our purview. You need to bring it up
That's a strange sentence.
with the selectmen.
Parking
And the
residential.
selectmen, there's only one here tonight, the board is not here.
Off-street parking only in all cases.
Going on to the one member is not
Well,
fair to the rest of the board, so please, I'm gonna cut you off.
and
No.
town aware.
Off-street.
Well, I mean, you
can't
can see
park
his
on the
point
street.
that we can't do, anything to.
No, I see his point to stop, but
And
you
you
guys
only
are,
have
you guys
one
know the
board member.
regulation, so just let them know, so that way I know where to go.
Yeah.
I'm agreement that,
Yeah.
yeah, but if you guys know it, just let them know, so I know where to go.
Sorry.
Just give me
Like what?
a 30-second help, so I know where to go.
We did. That's all we can do.
Select board's the next step on.
Okay,
Yeah, if we had everybody staffed, code enforcement, sure, land use would probably also be helpful, but we are down like 3 to 5 people. So a lot of it is unfortunately like you're experiencing, coming back to where you started, and it's because we have a lot of gaps right now, and we're trying to cover
okay.
multiple
So-
roles.
So then I just have to send you guys an email again to get put on the next, thing?
Yeah,
I mean, that's really all I can do at
yeah.
this point. Okay, and then, is Naomi in the office tomorrow, if I call it?
As I understand it, no.
Oh, okay.
They just come back Monday. Hold on. Yeah, it's not coming up immediately, but I'm pretty sure she's back Monday.
Okay,
But she'd probably respond to an email, knowing her.
no, I appreciate it, so, all right, I will ask to be put back on then. All right, and when you guys were talking quietly, do you see what I was talking about, or no?
I see the snippet about off-street parking,
Prohibited?
yeah, just,
Okay,
what's that?
prohibited for that zone?
Well, I just saw that one line, so I like,
There's more homework that needs to
Yeah.
be done.
No,
Yeah.
so there's new information to us to talk about then.
possibly, I'm gonna have to go, like, if you do get back on the agenda, like, what I try and do is review everything up to that point, so I'm gonna do the exact same thing.
Okay,
And we've already set the agenda for next Monday, so it's not gonna be next Monday, I can tell you that. Actually, I think we've set it for the next 2 because of the election following. So we already,
Okay.
we went ahead and, because we all have to work all day Tuesday at the election,
mm-hmm,
we set a light Monday, the day before. So I think, again, it's my opinion that it would be the next earliest opportunity would be the Monday following the election,
so the 10th or 11th?
something like that, yeah.
Okay,
But that's, yeah, I can't speak for everybody.
no, I just wanna make sure I have the right, information, so. All right, thank you.
What street is he on?
South Sugar Hill.
Update from the master plan subcommittee.
Our last 2 meetings were very productive, and we have one final section to hammer out, and then the introduction. And we should have a document that we can present to you soon.
Great. I don't think we have any minutes.
No minutes.
Do you ever have guests at your meetings?
Every now and then,
Yeah?
but not lately.
Oh, wait, wait.
You wanna come?
You wanna come?
That'd be kind of rare. Depends on what it is. If it's Friday night, I don't want.
No, it's a Wednesday.
Oh.
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday?
Next
What do you mean,
Wednesday.
right here?
No, not next Wednesday, 2 Wednesdays today.
The day after
The first
election day.
the first Wednesday, yeah, the 5th, 4th, 5th,
No, 6th.
6th,
Yeah, elections the fifth.
You meet in this room?
yeah,
Oh, what time, 7?
7.
Well, like an hour or two? I won't have to
We
think.
try to say an hour,
Yeah,
but last
just
time we
curious,
went
I'm just
an hour and a
curious.
half, and the previous time we went an hour and a half.
it's
so-
coming down. Okay. Probably won't be there.
Okay,
Don't hold up the meeting or
all right,
anything.
okay.
Any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Already have a second, right?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Go get the computer.